There is a market town in Cheshire with a population of around 20,000 people. For almost a century, it was home to two of Britain's greatest truck makers, both founded by members of the same family, both bitter rivals, both building trucks a mile apart. Between them, they built some of the most beloved lorries ever to roll on British roads. Today, neither company exists in Sandbach. The story of what was built here is one of the greatest untold chapters in British industrial history. Sandbach's story begins long before the age of engines and steel. The heart of the town is its ancient market square, shaped by centuries of commerce and faith. In 1579, Queen Elizabeth I granted Sandbach a royal charter, allowing a weekly market that drew traders from across Cheshire. This charter, preserved in local records, did more than legalise trade. It gave the town a structure for prosperity that would last for generations. Every Thursday, the market filled with the sounds of bargaining and the scents of fresh produce, anchoring Sandbach as a gathering point for the region's farmers and craftsmen. But Sandbach's roots stretch even deeper. In the centre of the square stand two stone crosses, carved in the 9th century. These Saxon monuments were raised by early Christian settlers, their intricate designs still visible after more than 1,000 years. For centuries they have watched over the ebb and flow of daily life, surviving invasion, reform, and the slow turning of history. Local tradition holds that these crosses are among the finest in Britain, a testament to the town's early importance as a crossroads of culture and belief. Long before the first lorry rolled out of a Sandbach workshop, the town was already a hub for movement and exchange. Archaeological evidence confirms that a Roman road once ran straight through Sandbach, linking Middlewich with Chesterton. This ancient route carried salt, grain and news between settlements, marking Sandbach as a vital stop on the journey north and south. The road's faint traces, now buried beneath modern streets, hint at a time when Roman soldiers and merchants passed through, their footsteps laying the groundwork for what would become a centre of British industry. These layers of history, Roman engineering, Saxon devotion, Elizabethan commerce, gave Sandbach a foundation unlike any other. The market charter brought legal order and economic energy, the crosses anchored the town's identity, and the Roman road ensured that people and goods would always pass through. By the 19th century, the town's population remained modest, but its reputation as a place of gathering and enterprise was well established. Generations grew up in the shadow of the market and the crosses, learning the rhythms of trade and the value of community. This blend of geography, tradition and opportunity would prove decisive. When the industrial age arrived, Sandbach was ready. Its central location, its long-standing market and its spirit of self-reliance all set the stage for the arrival of a new kind of craftsman, an engineer whose ambitions would carry Sandbach's name far beyond the boundaries of Cheshire. In 1856, a 14-year-old Edwin Foden walked into the workshop of Plant and Hancock on the edge of Sandbach and began an apprenticeship that would change the town's destiny. His early years were spent shaping iron and learning the rhythms of rural machinery, but Edwin's ambitions soon outgrew the boundaries of agricultural work. By the early 1880s, his workshop, now bearing the Foden name, was building traction engines, heavy machines that rumbled across farm fields and powered the harvests of Cheshire. The Foden family's reputation grew with each innovation. Around 1881, the first Foden traction engine left the yard, a gleaming symbol of the town's new mechanical age. These engines, built for hard work and reliability, quickly gained a following among local farmers and hauliers. As the decades turned, Edwin's sons joined the business and the Foden name became a byword for quality and service. The company ledgers from the late 19th century show a steady climb in orders, fueled by word of mouth and the growing demand for steam power. Change came fast. In 1896, new laws relaxed restrictions on heavy vehicles, and Foden seized the moment by developing some of Britain's first steam wagons. These early trucks, built in the Elworth works, could carry loads far beyond the reach of horse carts. They were rugged, travel-bought, practical, and perfectly suited to the rough roads of the era. According to family tradition and early trade journals, Edwin Richard Foden, the founder's son, introduced a steel-tyred wheel in 1898, replacing the old wooden rims and giving Foden wagons a crucial edge in durability. Though the patent details are lost to time, the innovation was widely reported and quickly copied across the industry. Recognition on a national scale arrived in 1901. The British War Office, seeking modern logistics for its armies, held a road haulage trial to test the best steam wagons in the country. Foden entered a steel-tyred wagon fitted with a high-pressure boiler. Over the course of the trial, the Foden machine carried heavier loads, travelled farther and needed fewer repairs than its rivals. The outcome stirred debate in Parliament, with the Crewe Member of Parliament questioning the fairness of the results, but the technical achievement was undeniable. Foden's success in the War Office trial put Sandbach on the map as a centre of engineering recognition. Inside the company, a strong ethos took root, one that valued craftsmanship, loyalty, and the promise of service. Peter Foden, a later generation, summed up this spirit when he said, "If my customer pays 10 bob for my truck, but I give him 20 bob's worth of customer service, I will always hold my head high with the big boys." This was more than a slogan. It was a way of working that bound generations of Sandbach families to the factory floor, where fathers and sons learnt the trade side by side. By the turn of the 20th century, the Foden dynasty had transformed a small market town into the beating heart of British truck manufacturing. The company's technical ambition was growing, and the family's name carried weight far beyond Cheshire. Yet within the boardrooms and workshops, new questions were emerging about engines, about the future of steam, and about the direction of the company itself. The sense of unity that had built the Foden legacy would soon be tested by changing times and divided loyalties. Late in 1932, the Foden boardroom became the scene of a confrontation that would split both a family and a town. Edwin Richard Foden, known as ER, had spent years urging the company to abandon steam wagons and embrace diesel power. He brought evidence to the table. Fuel efficiency figures, torque comparisons, the hard mathematics of a changing industry. But tradition ran deep. The senior partners, rooted in decades of steam engineering, refused to budge. The minutes from that autumn record a final tense meeting. ER stood, resigned his directorship and walked out of the company that bore his name. The shock inside Sandbach was immediate. ER was not just a manager. He was the son of the founder, a figure whose influence stretched from the shop floor to the local council. Within months, he began assembling a team for a new venture. His son, Dennis Foden, joined him, bringing technical skill and a fierce loyalty. George Faulkner, a relative with an eye for design, handled the financial side. Ernest Sherratt, dismissed from Foden in the boardroom purge, took charge of engineering. The final piece was John Henry Jennings, a respected coach builder whose Sunworks premises, just a mile from the original Foden factory, became the base for the new company. In early 1933, the paperwork was filed. The new firm would be called ERF, Edwin Richard Foden's initials stamped on every badge. The start was modest, a workshop, a handful of workers, and a vision that set them apart from their old employer. Instead of building every part in-house, ERF sourced the best components available: Gardner diesel engines, Roots gearboxes, Whitehead axles. Jennings created the steel cab, giving the trucks a distinctive look and a practical advantage. The first chassis to leave Sunworks bore the number 63. The numbering picked up where the Foden sequence left off, tying the new company to its heritage, but also signalling a break with the past. Chassis 63 became a symbol of ambition, of continuity, and of the cost of family division. Local newspapers covered its completion, noting the pride and uncertainty that gripped Sandbach. For the first time, two rival truck makers now operated within a mile of each other, their fortunes intertwined with the same families and streets. At the 1933 Commercial Motor Show, ERF's debut model, a 5-ton Gardner diesel chassis with a Sunworks cab, drew attention for its clean lines and modern engine. Industry journals reported on the launch, while the town council issued a formal commendation, hopeful that the new firm would bring jobs and stability in hard times. Behind the headlines, the split was still raw. fathers and sons found themselves working for different companies. Old friendships strained under the weight of loyalty and change. Chassis 63 survives, preserved by the ERF Historic Vehicles Collection. Alongside it, the original boardroom minutes and factory photographs tell the story of a breakaway that reshaped Sandbach. The creation of ERF was more than a business decision. It was a declaration of independence, a gamble on new technology, and a wound that would never fully heal. From this moment, the rivalry at the heart of Britain's truck town truly began. Barely a mile separated Foden's Elworth works from the ERF Sunworks, yet that short distance marked a sharp divide in philosophy and daily life. Each morning, Sandbach's streets filled with workers heading to one factory or the other, neighbours, friends, and sometimes siblings bound for rival shops. The factory's proximity meant the town's pulse was set by the shift whistle and the steady movement of people between home and work. Foden's approach was vertical integration, a method rooted in self-reliance. Engines, gearboxes, axles, every vital part was designed, cast and machined within the Elworth walls. The Foden badge stood for a two-stroke diesel built by Foden hands, a gearbox shaped by Foden machinists, a frame assembled where generations of families had worked side by side. This system gave Foden tight control over quality and innovation, and it bred a strong sense of identity. Problems were solved in-house and pride ran deep. The workforce became known for technical skill and fierce loyalty, with the company's fortunes woven into the fabric of daily life. ERF, by contrast, chose a different path. Instead of building every component, ERF sourced the best available. Gardner diesel engines, David Brown gearboxes, Kirkstall axles. The Sunworks focused on assembling these proven parts into a chassis and cab designed to last. This approach gave ERF flexibility. If a better engine appeared, they could fit it. If customers wanted a different gearbox, ERF could adapt. The result was a truck built from top components with a reputation for reliability and efficiency. Many ERF workers had once been Foden men, bringing with them a sense of independence and the underdog spirit of a breakaway firm. These strategies shaped more than trucks. Foden's all-under-one-roof model fostered a tight-knit works culture, with its own brass band, sports clubs and social events. The canteen was a hub for news, laughter and debate. ERF, smaller but agile, built its own community around the Sunworks where camaraderie grew from shared ambition and the pride of building something new. Despite the rivalry, bitterness rarely took hold. In pubs, chapels and on football pitches, the two sides mixed freely. Brothers might work at different plants, but they cheered for the same teams and shared the same stories. Sandbach's identity became inseparable from its two truck makers. Competition was fierce, but always local, rooted in the pride that a modest market town had become a powerhouse of British road haulage. The closeness of the factories meant innovation and gossip travelled fast. A new engine at Foden or a contract win at ERF would ripple through town before the next shift. This constant exchange drove both firms to improve, not just in sales, but in service, quality and loyalty. Together, they made Sandbach a name known far beyond Cheshire. By the mid-20th century, the streets of Sandbach echoed with the sounds of progress. In 1954, ERF unveiled the Clearview cab, a design that turned heads across the haulage world. Its panoramic windscreen and all-steel construction set a new standard for comfort and safety, giving drivers a clear command of the road ahead. The Clearview's curved glass and modern lines became a signature sight on Britain's highways, a symbol of technical ambition from a small Cheshire town. 2 decades later, Foden answered with the S21 Fleetmaster. Launched in 1975, the Fleetmaster combined a powerful 10-litre engine and a distinctive half-hump cab, offering both strength and style. Quickly became a favourite among hauliers, praised for its reliability and unmistakable silhouette. Trade journals of the era celebrated both the Clearview and the Fleetmaster as high points in British truck design. Production figures soared. By the late 1970s, ERF was building around 4,000 trucks each year, while Foden's workforce approached 3,000. Sandbach trucks rolled out to every corner of the UK and well beyond, exported under names like Western Star in Australia and Foden across the Commonwealth. For a generation, the town's factories ran at full tilt, powered by the skill and pride of local families. In those years, Sandbach was not just a dot on the map, it was the beating heart of Britain's road transport industry. In the early 1980s, the factory gates in Sandbach opened to a new reality. Orders for trucks collapsed almost overnight. Assembly lines that once turned out 16 vehicles a day slowed to a crawl, now just 16 a week. The Financial Times reported the scale of the downturn in stark numbers. Within months, both Foden and ERF were forced to cut their workforces by nearly a third. Redundancy notices arrived in batches, and families who had counted on steady work for generations faced sudden uncertainty. Local council minutes from 1981 record urgent meetings as officials scrambled to respond. A special task force was set up to find retraining opportunities for hundreds of skilled workers, but prospects were thin. The canteens that once buzzed with talk of overtime and new models became quieter, and the sense of pride that filled the town gave way to anxiety. For the first time, Sandbach's future as a truck town looked fragile, not because of any failure of engineering or service, but because of forces far beyond its control. The vulnerability exposed by this economic shock would leave both firms open to outside interest and the community searching for answers. In 1980, the future of Sandbach's truck industry passed into foreign hands. PACCAR, an American giant, took control of Foden, promising stability, but bringing a shift in decision-making far from Cheshire. Over the next 16 years, ownership changed again and again. In 1996, Western Star, a North American firm, acquired Foden's operations, including the Sandbach plant. 4 years later, MAN, a German conglomerate, became the new owner. Each transition brought new managers, new targets, and less connection to the people who had built the company's reputations. In 2002, the Middlewich plant, once a symbol of local pride, was shut down. More than a century of truck making ended with a simple closure notice. By 2006, the Foden name, after 150 years, disappeared from British roads. A year later, ERF was retired as well. The gates closed for the last time, and the factories that once defined a town fell silent. What was once a world of foundries, canteens, and shift whistles became empty ground, the legacy of Sandbach's lorry builders left to memory and history. Today, the factory stands silent, but Sandbach's legacy endures in every preserved lorry and every memory of streets filled with Fodens and ERFs. Generations still recall Peter Foden's words. He would say, "If my customer pays 10 bob for my truck, but I give him 20 bob's worth of customer service, I'll always hold my head high with the big boys." In a world remade by distant decisions, local pride remains. What does your town remember? Share your thoughts below.